Hey everyone, it's Hydro Pump here. So I wanted to start sharing my crazy deck ideas with you guys, just to give you some inspiration or some ideas to think of your own and maybe ways to improve these decks. These are just gonna be things that I came up over the deck ideas I came up with the past couple years, just playing through Edison format and whatnot. And I just want to share with you guys because I just haven't really gotten around to test them out enough. Anyways, for this video, I got a very cool one. It's Dragon Turbo with Lightsworn, and it's a pretty weird combination. The deck profile will explain it, and yeah, we're just gonna jump right into it. Alright, we're gonna get started with the deck profile here. So we got 3 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, obviously, 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon, 3 White Stone Legend, 3 Debris Dragon, and Kwakamira Drago. Now these are kind of like all the dragons you need to play in Dragon Turbo. Can't really go much less than that because they are part of your draw engine, and Darkness Metals obviously it helps you, make a big board in OTK. And then you also play Trigodia as well. So that kind of rounds out the monster. Trigodia is just good defense overall. Then you got 3 Super Rejuve, 3 Cards of Constance, 3 Trade-In, 2 Magical Stone, Future Fusion, Card Destruction, Pot of Avarice, and Heavy Storm. That rounds off those spells there. Now it's like the Dragon Turbo engine, and yeah, here's the interesting part of the deck, which is the Lightsworn stuff. So we got 1 charge, 3 solar recharge, and to support the solar recharges, we got a couple names here. We got Reiko, we got Shire, Lumina, Lila, Jane, and Graganeth. And to play alongside those, we got 2 Judgment Dragons. And I'll just go talk about the Lightsworn package just like a little more in depth. Just like how does it work with the Dragon Turbo engine? Because it's pretty compact Lightsworn engine, and try to make the Dragon Turbo engine as small as possible too. So, first of all, Judgment Dragon, level 8 dragon monster, so it works with trade-in. So you play 5 trade-in targets with the 3 blue eyes, 2 Judgment Dragons. It is kind of like a lot of judgment or trade-in targets to have. You can technically play 1 Judgment Dragon, but I feel like the payoff of just having 2 and always finding it pretty easily is very nice. So that's kind of why we have 2 Judgment Dragons here. Could again just play 1 though, just as it's not like a huge priority to find it or use it. I mean, at worst, again just trade in Magical Stone it away or discard it just to fuel your Rejuve. Same thing as Graganeth, so it works with Solar Recharge. Doesn't work with trade in, and then obviously Judgment Dragon doesn't work with Solar Recharge, but Graganeth again works with Solar Recharge. Kind of replaces Prime Material Dragon as that level 6 dragon that you can easily use to like go like Debris Dragon, Graganeth, and then just make Trident Dragon. So that's pretty cool. And then you can just always just reborn this with Red Eyes Darkness Metal, so you can like Solar Recharge this away, and then bring it back with Red Eyes Darkness, get some free mills, and this also pierces, so that's a little addition that's pretty cool. And it can randomly just get attack boost, so not a terrible card, and you can just always throw it away with Magical Stone and whatnot, so that's why you play that guy. We play 1 Jane. This is probably like I'm playing 6 names right now, so Jane, it's just a beater. There's a couple other Lightsworns I can go over that we can play then, but nothing too special. But Jane, Lila, probably one of the better Lightsworn monsters you can play. Just pop back row, so you can bait a back row or something with Lila, or get rid of an oppression and whatnot. And some people just they can't deal with it, so Lila's pretty nice. And we got Lumina. Lumina's pretty lackluster in this kind of deck, because you don't really want to put a ton of Lightsworn monsters on the field unless you are trying to summon Judgment Dragon for the following turn. Something cool about Lumina though is that when you're discarding a card, if you discard a dragon, that does count towards Super Rejuve, so that's kind of like a little plus there. So you can do some cool things with Lumina, and then you can get to like some cool like levels. So you can get Lumina, Lila, and then if you have like a White Stone that's level 8, and you can do like Lumina, Raikou, White Stone to get to 6, and so you can do some cool things with Lumina to get to like some interesting levels as far as synchro plays. So yeah, Lumina's kind of cool. And we got one Shire here. Now Shire is not obviously not too great. You usually see this in like a Christiasworn list. The reason that you play this is because it's the re-dragon target that you can bring back, so you can worst case you like just bring back this, make a Black Rose, nuke the field, and you know. So it's not terrible. And obviously you got one Raikou here. Raikou's not bad. You can just always set it, pop something. Usually good in post-board situations against like Vanity's Fiend, Fossil Dino. I mean, you only do play the one, so probably not gonna see it crazy amount. But you can also, similar to Shire, you can bring this back with the Breed Dragon and make like a, you can make like an Iron Chain Dragon and whatnot. So just some niche synchro abilities with those last couple. And then you play the 3 Solar Recharge and then charge kind of like a 7th name. I always count this as an extra Lightsworn, so kind of got 7 Lightsworns with the 3 Solar Recharge. Normally you would probably want to play a little more names to support Solar Recharge, but this deck, you're just drawing so much, so you're going to find your Lightsworn names pretty easily. So yeah, you're probably wondering like, okay, why are you throwing Lightsworns together in a deck like this? So some really cool synergies with the spell cards anyways. So Future Fusion, you can actually dump Judgment Dragons or Dragoneth. So those are just like extra like vanilla dragons you can just dump. It does also get you a name in the grave if you do have Judgment Dragon in hand, so that's pretty cool. Pie Avarice, you can just, all your random milling just happens to make your Pie Avarice like more live early on. So like you go like Solar Recharge and mill a couple monsters, you can probably resolve Pie Avarice really easily in your opening hand if you happen to have it. You could potentially play 2 of this, but tight is the space in this deck is very tight. So if you're willing to go over 40 cards, you can maybe bump this up to 2. This card's really good once you add in the Lightsworn engine. I mean, this deck already plays Dragon Turbo, already plays 1 Pie Avarice, but yeah, it's very nice to have. And then you got 2 Magical Stone Excavation. So again, the random milling can, you can just find like spells really easily, rather than just having to draw them. So you can just mill like a good spell that you're looking for by chance, and then you just grab it back. So say that you discarded like, I don't know, 5 dragons, or you discard 3 dragons this turn, and you go like Solar Recharge, discard a Lightsworn, and you mill a Super Juve. It's like, okay, I could discard 2 more dragons with Magical Stone, get the Super Juve, and then draw 5 at the end phase. And then, so yeah, just like cool toolbox interactions with the Lightsworn engine. It's very nice. And then, obviously with the random milling, you do have the White Stone of Legend. I've had times in testing where I go like, charge or Lightsworn mill or Solar Recharge, and I mill like a White Stone of Legend or 2 and add 2 blue eyes, so you go +2 on that interaction, which is pretty nice. And then you can go like get your trade-ins live and whatnot. So just some really cool things with the Lightsworn engine. Honestly, there's some cons with the Lightsworn engine. Again, your deck space is very tight. You're cutting stuff like, Reckless Greed, Upstart Goblin, so consistency is, there's like a trade-off. Like you may have some hands where some goofy hands where you just have like some mismatch pieces. Like you could have something like, this where, Blue Eyes doesn't really work with either of these 2 discard cards. So that's kind of like the main like clogginess of the deck, where it has some mismatch engine pieces going on. And obviously the Lightsworn monsters in this build aren't like too great on their own. Like you don't really have Honest to keep your guys alive and whatnot. And I'll just go over a couple pieces that you could play as well. So again, you could play Wolf over like Jane, but potentially Wolf has a little more upside than Jane. You can just special summon it, and you know, it's pretty good. It's just like a beater. You can also do some cool synchro plays with like Whitestone into getting a Cataster or whatnot. So you can easily just replace a Jane for like a Wolf. You can also play Aaron, maybe side deck option for this deck. And Arceus, you know, worst case, instead of having Jane, you can just play this just to run into a Reiko if you don't have much going on in the opening turn, so that's not bad either, just so they don't get a free pop. Again, you don't really have Honest to keep your guys alive. Maybe you can, I don't know, maybe you could play Honest, but again, try and keep this deck count as small as possible. And then don't have Insuffusion currently in the list. It's something I did have in the list, but I just kind of want to have as much space for the Lightsworn engine as possible. And ideally, like, I think I had like one Judgment Dragon and I cut a Lightsworn name, so I had like one JD and 5 names plus the Insuffusion. So it's just kind of like trying to make things work with those last couple slots. I just kind of just opted to go with 2 JD because, you know, there's a possibility you can drop this very early on your opponent, and you're just kind of, JD's kind of like the field clear. You got like the Lightning Vortex, the Heavy Storm, and whatnot, so that's why you don't have to play as many field clears. And then if you're playing Judgment Dragon to blow up the field, maybe you don't have to rely on something Briotic to spin your opponent's cards. Like, you don't have to worry about like spinning their set monster or like their big guy or their do block with Briotic when you can just blow up their field. So maybe Judgment Dragon can kind of be a replacement for Insuffusion, but it's also nice just to have Insuffusion as a utility there. So again, maybe you can go up to a higher deck count to play Insuffusion and a couple other things, but this kind of like up for testing and consideration. And then something else you can technically play is like Necrogarna, because you do have like a lot of random milling, and then you do have the super rejuve, so you can draw a combo, and then you eventually draw into Necrogarna, and then you can just ditch it just to stay alive. But Necrogarna on its own doesn't really do a whole lot, and it's kind of sits in your hand if you do open it, so it's not really the best. I think you can kind of just rely on Tragodia being your defensive option in this deck, as the deck has regular Dragon Turbo has in the past, so just Tragodia is probably fine. I think that's mostly everything with this deck. Again, the Lightsworn engine is very interesting, just because you can kind of get things going with your engine and whatnot in an interesting way. I guess you just have to look out for, you don't want your Lightsworns or Judgment Dragons staying on the field too long, because you can mill some important engine cards for Dragon Turbo that you'd rather have in your hand or deck, and then obviously you're drawing so much to where your deck count gets very low, so you know, your Lightsworn engine might kind of deck you out even quicker. So that's why you just kind of use them as a draw engine. You don't really just want to throw them out there just to sit on the field. Again, you don't really have a way to protect them, unlike regular Lightsworns. But yeah, that's just kind of like the interesting thing with this deck. Again, I don't know if it's better than regular Dragon Turbo. It's probably not better, or at least it's not as consistent, based on my testing so far. But I just kind of want to throw this deck list out there for you guys to give you some ideas, and maybe you can test it on your own and make some improvements upon it. And yeah, so I think it does have potential to be good. I just don't know if it's as good as regular Dragon Turbo, but we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, thanks for watching this deck profile, everyone, and I'll catch you all in the next one.